I'm noticing that the workshop series is probably the longest one I have, and barely anything seems to be moving along here. The garage really is a bit of a thorn in my side. I need a space to work in and make things in order to renovate the house, and that space should be tidy and organized just in order to make working in easier. But organizing this takes time and resources, and the priority is the main house. And I've made some baby steps in utilizing vertical space, like with the small storage carts, workbenches, this one with the drawer here, and of course the other one that also has these bins on the other side. The wood storage cart, of course, and the big workbench that can house 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stacks of 40 by 60 Euro boxes. And while that in itself is good and has helped me clear some worktop space, like this one here, the one next to my miter saw, and of course the top of the drawer cart, without which I wouldn't be able to essentially cut and work with large sheets of plywood. All this is nowhere near enough. Now, the original idea was to replace the ceiling first, then reinstall the interior wall, cover that in French cleats, and then use those for vertical tool storage. But doing that is a major project, and again, my priority has to be the house. So the only workaround I can really think of is to start with this wall section here between the window and where the interior wall is going to be again. So the French cleats would have wrapped around all the way up into the windows anyway. So I guess what I'll do to get me started on clearing the workbenches, which will also make working in here to replace the ceiling easier, is to prep the walls, put French cleats up here to give me at least some amount of tool storage. But first, there is one more small step that I can make to minimize the chaos in the work area. Now, I regularly produce small to medium size plywood cut-offs like these ones here, and then I lean them against the wood storage cart because they're still too big and too potentially useful to throw out. Now, while this may be kind of viable, it requires me to sort of awkwardly shuffle my way past here or climb over them, especially if I have a large plywood sheet like this one here that I need to pull all the way over here, or to basically start making cuts in. That's not a good solution. So I guess giving these cut-offs a tidy home should be a simple and small enough job, and also help me get around the workspace easier, so it's worthwhile doing. It really was a rather simple and small little project. That looks tidy enough. I sort of have a good overview of the different sizes and shapes that I have down here, and it looks reasonably easy enough for me to access any of them that I need, and I will need these for sure when I have the French cleats up on the wall and I'm starting to make the tool holders. I'm quite pleased with how this fit in. After that rather gratifying little job, it's time to tackle this. I think what I'm going to have to do is prepare the wall a little bit, fill these holes, probably give it a good sanding, and then also give it a new lick of paint. I'll start with something that is rather small and simple, which is to remove the bracket there. I'd have cleared some room, maybe only just moved it over to the other side. Time to sand the wall down with some 40 grit. Got some filler going, and fill up these holes and little divots or whatever they are, little blemishes on the wall. While the second layer of filler is drying, I'm just scoping out where to start with the first cleat. I definitely still want a row, possibly 2 rows of cleats above the window for really small things. It seems like wasted surface otherwise. So I just made a preliminary pencil mark up here about 2 centimeters above the edge there, provided that I'm using 5 centimeter cleats spaced every 10 centimeters. That should bring me down for the bottom one around here, this laser line. So once I've painted this, I'm just going to mark this bottom line here and then we'll work my way up, just making sure everything's level. And I've also got to swing the laser around and do the same on the other side, so that when this wall is going back in and cleats are being installed on the interior wall then, so that they line up on each side with the ones on the concrete walls, because I don't want any weird offsets or anything. It's all supposed to be nice flowing lines. And that's the second coat done. Much better coverage on this. Right, this can dry till tomorrow, and then I'm going to have a look at lasering out the position for the lowest cleat, and if I have time, then I'll start making some cuts and see if I can actually put a few on the wall. Ah, great. Paint on my fingers. Now, it is the middle of the day, the following day, and because of the weather here, it is basically as dark as after sunset, but that's the reality of living in Ireland, I guess. But with the paint dry, I'm definitely going to take a stab at starting the cleats today. Can't wait. The laser is on and the self-leveling is activated now for the pencil. Actually, I have a better plan. Rather than making marks now and then try and hold that in place, I'm just going to put this block here, which also gives me an opportunity to use some of this tiny scrap wood that I have. Right, now I've got these two marked out. I'm going to chop them to size, and then there'll be here support for my first cleat, the one that goes at the bottom. Right, 2 blocks of wood in place. Switching the laser back on, and would you look at that? That is near perfect. Now here behind me, that's the other side, which is also painted, and has those level blocks. So this wall here is 158 centimeters wide, and the other one is 159.5. So great precision work there, guys, whoever built this. So the sheet here is 160 to make sure whatever piece works on either side, and then any overhang I'll just trim off. I'm going to cut the sheet here to size, and then I can start ripping those down to more cleaty widths, whatever. Time to get cutting. Rip it down into 10 centimeter strips. Then I have to miter cut those 45 degrees to make the cleats. And the curve, so that's the cutout that the saw blade will make, that's probably going to take out, now from the looks of it, I'd say 3 millimeters. So I'm going to measure that now to make sure that I'll add those 3 millimeters, or however many they are, to the width of my strips. I don't want to be missing any material. I want 10 centimeters, or 5 and 5 when I'm done. So this is, I need good light, about 2.5. I think I'll just have to test this out. How am I going to find the exact center though for 45 degrees? I'm going to eyeball this. That's why you don't do this kind of stuff at 1:45 to midnight on a school night after staring at Excel sheets all day. The brain is fried. In an ideal scenario, these would now be the same height, but this one here is slightly taller on the inside. Here we are. Yep, that looks like 3 millimeters. So this little experiment here, I guess, proves that even though my saw blade is about 2.2, maybe 2.5 mil wide at its widest point, maybe because of the 45 degree angle cut, it's taking a bit more out. Or maybe there's a bit of wobble in the saw blade, I don't know. My rib width, which I'm going to be doing against the factory edge, will be 10.3 millimeters. But that will not happen tonight. I'm quite tired, and I don't trust myself not to make stupid mistakes and waste material. So this will be it for tonight, and we'll continue this tomorrow. Well, nothing for it. I've calibrated this saw, and I think I've got it to not quite 0, but maybe 0.3 millimeters, so next to nothing. So now what there's left is to put this strip through. I guess this is my sacrificial strip, to see if I can get a consistent, proper 45 degree angle cut out of this. Right, I guess I'm going to continue with this now. Rip them into the cleats that I need. I will really have to resist temptation to start putting them up on the wall, because what I should be doing really is to varnish them with some polyurethane varnish, because it does really get quite humid in the garage, especially in winter. And I've had it before where plywood, especially here on these exposed edges, just starts to develop mold and mildew, and that's not really something that I want permanently sitting right on the wall. Therefore they have to be sealed, so they can't go up before then. Also, 2 realizations: I really should put a mask on because the sawdust is something else, and My palms and fingers and thumb are now full of splinters because I wasn't wearing gloves. Yeah, protective equipment, people. Protective equipment. Now I'm going to screw these cleats into this wall here. That's block work. And the screws I have are 6mm, and they require pre-drilling into the blockwork with a 5mm drill bit. So what I'll do now is I'll also pre-drill these guys here with 4mm. I'm just going to dry fit them, and with a 4mm masonry bit just go through my pre-drilled holes to mark exactly where I have to drill into the wall, so that those holes there match what's in the wood here at the same intervals. There's probably a purchase argument for a pillar drill. What varnishing these is really going to be about is getting these cut edges where the laminate or the layers are exposed. From previous experience in this garage, this seems to be where stuff really starts to get moldy, mildewy, starts to rot. Not so much these here, although they also get fungus on them. But it's this where it's really bad. So varnishing these bits here, these sides, that's key. Yeah, I'm just going to screw my timeline further by not starting the process tonight. I'm tired. I don't have the energy. And I hate painting, varnishing, anything to do with chemicals. Just cannot stand it. So, tomorrow's another day. It is very much the next day. And so, I'm applying some varnish. Now, there is a workflow to this. So the short sides are getting their lick of varnish first. Just because. Followed by the 45-degree edge here. The flat sides, or rather just one of them, I'm going to do last, because that's what I'm holding this piece with. So this side, 45-degree edge first, drop that, and now I'm just going to put this on its edge. And then do the flat underside here that is also freshly cut and treated. I think ultimately it's going to start getting moldy or going to start rotting, etc. But hopefully it'll be okay for some time. Thank goodness I didn't do this last night. Actually, I did do something last night. The other side, this is the short flat. The one that goes and faces the wall. That one I haven't done. The other side, however, I have already varnished, as well as all the cut sides. But I figured they could very well use a second round. Now this varnishing is a step that most of the folks that I've had a look at who were doing these did not do. And I guess if you're in a very dry, warm California climate, maybe you don't have to. And these were the conditions, however. And in this pretty damp, mostly uninsulated and unheated garage, if you want your stuff to survive the winter, This is a necessity. Now, what I will say is that I don't know if this is going to work. The only thing I know is that for the walnut worktop in our bathroom, I coated that thing in the same stuff, maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times, as of course a bathroom is by definition a pretty damp room, and it's been sitting there for, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, maybe 4 years. Can't remember when I did the bathroom. Maybe 4 years ago. And so far, absolutely no rot, no mildew, no damp wood, no nothing. This stuff here has sealed the wood entirely, so that's what I'm hoping. It's going to do the same for my plywood cleats. Now these are pretty much done, dry now. Still the tiniest bit tacky to the touch, but I really need to press on. I just mark on the wall where I need to pre-drill holes for my concrete screws. Anyway, that's the first bit in. There, let's see. Lovely, nice and level. I have 3 more left over and a few sort of narrow long cuts that I don't really have any other use for, at least for the time being, that I might just turn into cleats as well, to add 2 more rows that extend over and above the window. But I suppose the first order of the day now is to use these cleats to really store those things that take up a lot of space, such as the power tools. Give these individual holders and hoist them up on the wall. And there's this bit here, which is mostly clamps. There's these kind of clamps, these small ones, F-clamps, etc. And small hand tools, such as this needle nose plier, side cutters, that kind of stuff. It just takes a lot of surface, even though it's not an awful lot of stuff. So making holders for those and get them off the workspace or the worktops and up on the wall seems the best order of the day. Further battlefields is all this, which is mostly painting things. And of course there are sanding discs, but these will go into a holder with the orbital sander. And of course the hammer collection that is taking up most of this little bit of side space here next to my chop saw. So there's a good few things where, with I suppose relatively easy work, making rudimentary or quite crude holders for, I can clear a lot of workspace, and that seems worthwhile. Right, so there we go. Grandfather clock, fires and rasps, silicones, butane, whatever that gas is, propane maybe, I don't know, wood glues, cigatiers, clamps of all sorts, hammers, hand tools like vice grips and pliers and tongs and all that kind of stuff, wrenches, more wrenches, measuring tools, and probably my favourite little bit of kit here, little book for sketches, pencils, and a pencil sharpener. So this is kind of my non-electric wall. All the power tools, I don't think there's much room here left for them, although I have a little bit of squish here. So I think all the power tools are going to go on the other wall. Not sure I'll leave the camera on for that though. It's a pretty crappy day for it. Right, on this wall, small angle grinder and accessories. All of the guns go in here. Circular saw, more saws, routers. Small little clamps. Why do I put you up here? Shouldn't you be on the other side? This is for my random orbital sander that sits on top. And here's just the different sanding pads. What's this? Oh yeah, demo drill. Nailers and staplers, heat gun, planer, and there's the big angle grinder. And there's still some room for more things here. Just some workshop towels and craft paper. So yeah, I think generally speaking not a bad concept. I kind of like it. And what I like even more is the amount of surface that these two French cleat walls have already cleared up. Like I have all this space here now, as well as the bench on the other side. All of this is now available for me to work on. I don't think they've ever been this clear and available, even when I build them all, because I pretty much put stuff on top right away. I think one of the major advantages of French cleats are that I can arrange these tool holders whichever way I like, by colour if I want to, by tool type, by weight, heavy stuff at the bottom, lighter at the top, or less used items on the top and more used items at the bottom. I can arrange them according to workflow. Obviously you're a little bit, like the drawback is that you don't have a lot of depth to work with, which is why I try to make them come out as much as possible to like utilize the space and don't just all spread them across the wall. Wouldn't be much gain there. But I do like this. Even these two test walls here have given me so much space, have opened up so much storage. I think it's made a successful case for covering this entire wall when it comes in with French cleats as well. But yeah, that's it for this project. Took me long enough, but I got there in the end. Can't wait to just stop tinkering around the edges, which is what this is ultimately. This is just a test, and to get working on the more structural stuff in the workshop proper. But that really is for another day. Sawdust. Cheers.